start the turn a little bit earlier.
The teenage years can be a crash course in life.
Oh, Stella! I'm sorry, Mom.
I lied to my parents, I lied to my friends, I lied to everybody.
Years devoted to taking control.
I didn't choose to have this eating disorder.
Of realizing things aren't always what they seem.
A lot of people have eating disorders, and it's not just girls.
And finding the power within.
So my plan was to get my undergrad in in mechanical engineering.
To turn life choices.
I've got a lot of options. I'm still trying to narrow that down.
Into the chance to reach your peak.
Our kids may think it's hard for us to remember, but we're all parents and we can tell you growing up is hard.
Well, we all made it through our teenage years, some of us better than others. Our sons and daughters face new and different opportunities and challenges than we did.
Every year, the Colorado Girls Elevated Conference and Expo in Aurora brings together young women from all over Colorado to talk about these issues. They discuss the importance of self-image, everything from eating disorders to fashion.
They learn about breaking decades-old stereotypes with new career opportunities in technology, personal security while online, and the importance of learning how to handle their finances so they can become successful adults.
So over the next 30 minutes, we're going to share with you personal stories about how these challenges impact not only young women, but every one of us. And we're going to start with body image.
Questions about body image often lead to eating disorders, and it's not just a problem for teenage girls. As I found out during a recent visit to the Eating Disorders Clinic at Children's Hospital Colorado, doctors there treat kids as young as 6 years old.
The eating disorder was a secret. It was something that only I knew.
It was third grade, the first time I ever threw up.
Both 18-year-old Cassie and 13-year-old Zach had a hard time realizing they had eating disorders.
My teacher thought, for sure, I was sick. I needed to go home, but I felt something different. I felt a voice inside my head telling me to throw up.
When Zach got to middle school, his parents noticed something was wrong.
It was in 7th grade. I was hiding food and I was throwing up on purpose, and they knew that those were eating disorder behaviors, so they started taking me to therapy for it.
It was actually Thanksgiving, probably 2 years ago.
Cassie first realized she had a problem while visiting relatives.
The day of Thanksgiving, I was exercising in secret a lot. I realized that when it came to Thanksgiving dinner time, I put nothing on my plate. I put a few things on there just to smear it, to make it look like I ate something, and then I just threw it away, and then I kind of realized that that wasn't normal.
What was it that made you say, okay, I need to go get some help?
My parents actually were the ones to say that. I didn't believe that I had an eating disorder.
How much of the outside, whether it's media, whether it's social media, magazines, TVs, movies, versus peer pressure, does this play a role for you guys?
A really big part, because, in the media there's always those weight loss commercials and those dieting pills and all those things that you can do to lose weight, and things that are saying that you should do this in order to have a perfect body and this will make a guy fall in love with you.
You hear people sometimes, they'll make flippant comments where they'll say something along the lines of, oh, I wish I just had an eating disorder so I wouldn't eat. How does that make you feel when you hear something like that?
An eating disorder isn't just not eating food. It's like exercising. It's throwing up on purpose. It's doing stuff that normal humans wouldn't do.
I just want them to know to be empathetic and to not use it as a joke.
It's painful, isn't it?
I was texting my friend one night and I'm like, I have an eating disorder. And then he told me so did you go to treatment and eat 30 Big Macs? And that broke my heart.
What was the road to recovery? I mean, what was it like for you?
It was really hard. I'm still working on it, and I like to say that it does get easier. It does at some point, and I know that, but I'm not quite there yet.
I don't have any thoughts of throwing up or doing anything to my body. I'm just going to eat because it's healthy and it's what people do.
You just have to keep trying, and that, no matter what, you can't give up, because the second that you give up, the eating disorder will swoop back in and will take control of your life just like that.
Wow, I think the hardest thing as a parent watching that is we can't love it away.
No.
You need professional help to deal with things like this, right, Dayle?
But it's key with the parents to notice these things, really see what's happening with your child. And if you notice any big changes, that's when you need to start asking questions. It was very interesting talking to the doctor because she said, ask questions. She goes, if you're wrong, they'll tell you that you're wrong. And if not, they'll tell you, they'll feel that they can open up and they can actually talk to you. So either way, they're saying this is a really good thing for dialogue between parents and kids.
Well, and then learning what that dialogue should be, because as maybe a parent that's never dealt with it, what words do you use? What is healthy? What is not healthy? And learning how to probably process that and talk to them about it.
Well, and it is difficult because you do think about it. We talk about so much, you know, telling our kids, don't eat that candy, don't eat this because it's not healthy for you. But at the same time, some of that stuff is good. That is what living life is and eating in moderation. So our words do really impact our kids, and we have to be very careful about it. You know, both Cassie and Zach, who you just saw there, work with Dr. Mindy Solomon at Children's Hospital Colorado. And I asked her what warning signs friends and family should look for.
As a parent, what do you watch for? What are the signs that we need to be on the lookout for?
So definitely concern about, you know, changes, any kind of changes in eating patterns, right? You want to be curious about that as a parent. Doesn't mean that it's bad necessarily, but you want to be curious about it and you want to keep your eye on it. Certainly if it gets to the point of any kind of mood changes, behavior changes, withdrawal from social engagements, not wanting to participate with friends, not wanting to go to certain restaurants, things like that, you're going to want to be concerned as a parent. And I think one of the other misconceptions is that, you know, I think parents that see the extreme of an eating disorder think, well, that's not going to happen. But it kind of sneaks up on you because a lot of these behaviors, especially in our society, are pretty sanctioned and celebrated. And so I don't know a lot of parents personally who, if their 13 or 14-year-old came home and said, hey, Mom, I'm going to cut out sweets, would be upset about that. You know, they're likely to encourage that. There's a healthy balance. And it's hard to know when it becomes off balance and when it kind of slips into a zone of compulsion and anxiety driven of, I can't do this or I can't fix that. So what I would say to parents is, don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions. You know, don't be afraid to conjecture and be wrong. It's much better to conjecture and be wrong because your child is either, if you're right, then your child's going to feel validated and safe to kind of share their concern. If you're wrong, they're going to correct you and they're going to talk to you. So either way, it's win-win.
They love to correct you, definitely.
And in this case, that's what you want.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm just starting out with a 3- and 4-year-old, and I'm noticing already how different they are and approaching it with different kids. One might have one issue and one body type, another has a different thing going on, and that can be really challenging,
that is
too.
so true.
Yeah.
You have identification number?
NASA, sir.
NASA? I had no idea they hired.
There are quite a few women working in the space program.
Another stereotype our young women are breaking has to do with science and technology. The Oscar-nominated film Hidden Figures showed us the role that women play in launching America's space program. It wasn't easy for them, and it's still not easy today. I recently made a trip to the University of Denver where I talked to young women studying engineering and computer science. They tell me that while progress has been made by women in their fields, there is still a long way to go.
I kind of knew from a young age I had that math and science background.
Growing up, Bree Roselle never gave going into a technology-related field a second thought.
I was pretty good at math, and my dad was an engineer. So I think you just have that natural idea of like, oh, that's something cool that I could do.
Now a professor of mechanical materials engineering at the University of Denver, Professor Roselle says she knows she had an advantage not many other young girls have.
A lot of girls are never even exposed to this information. They don't even know what an engineer does, and then all of a sudden they're going to college and they don't even think about engineering.
I didn't know what computer science was until I came to college.
I have always been good at math, not so at science, but I never wanted to become an engineer.
Math for me was kind of just a hard subject.
I talked to 3 current DU students. Each is studying in the STEM field. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. No matter which field you look at, these women say they are outnumbered by men.
So during undergrad, there was 9 girls total in my class, and there was 50 students total when we graduated.
Right now here at DU, in the engineering classes, it's about 20% women to 80% men. In an ideal world, it would be 50-50. So as a female in these classes, how do you feel?
Except for the situations where I'm the only girl in a CS class or in a team at the office, I don't face any issues just because I'm a girl.
How often does that happen, though, that you end up being the only one in a class or the only one on a team?
So I did an internship with Amazon last summer, and I was the only one on a team.
Being one of the few does have its advantages.
It's just kind of cool because it like helps me know a lot of people in general because I do stick out because I am a girl.
More schools are focusing on STEM education starting at the elementary school level. Lexi is doing her part to get more girls interested in STEM by telling them about what she does at college.
I tell them that computer science is a thing. I can code games. I can make really cool things just by like typing something into my laptop.
What do you say to all the little girls that may be watching this story in the future? What do you say to them?
If you're interested in math and science, just do it. Don't let anything hold you back. Because there's so much out there that you may not realize now.
So I think the challenge for a lot of women is just having the confidence to own the fact that, yes, I know what I'm doing. I've earned this just like anybody else has, and now I'm going to own it.
Finding an even 50-50 balance in the classroom may take a while. The STEM fields are not easy.
Our percentage is about 20% female, and we do see a drop-off from freshman year to senior year. So we lose, women early that I think get a little scared off by the engineering.
But those who do stick it out typically excel.
The ones that make it to the end are absolutely some of our best students.
As a topic, this is obviously, as a meteorologist, close to my heart.
Right.
And having two girls, I tell them it's powerful. We get a big science box every month delivered to our door, and they do experiments all the time, and they love it, and they think it's cool.
But not just changing the attitudes of our kids, but also of their instructors, because I find that has a big influence too on how our kids are learning in the classroom or whether they're encouraged in one way or another.
And getting more of these instructors that are female, then getting into the field, that obviously gets the girls that are in the class excited about it too.
It shows them that they can do it. That stereotype that girls and women aren't good at math and science is so false. So this is good to see.
And I know I grew up in a household with pretty traditional gender roles. I'm trying really hard now to make sure that my boy and my girl, that I think that they can do the same things, that I don't assume he shouldn't do this or she shouldn't do that, and that I really give them both the opportunities.
Starts with us at home.
Sure does.
For sure. Well, up next, we are taking on teenage finances, I'm scared, and cybersecurity.
More and more kids are encountering those situations where something has happened that's made them feel very uncomfortable.
Keeping kids safe from online predators starts the moment they pick out a screen name. What parents and teens should know about staying safe, especially when it comes to sending online pictures.
And really, really wish that they hadn't sent a particular image.
And later, my teen girls use a driving simulator to find out just how dangerous distracted and impaired driving really is.
Are you okay? I can't believe my car.
I didn't even see the arrow.
Social media is a way of life for teenagers, but being online also exposes our teenagers to many dangers you may not even think of. As Denver7's Jennifer Kovaleski shows us, being safe starts when you pick a screen name.
All it takes is one photo, shared with the wrong person, or a chat in your favorite app with someone you think is harmless.
But more and more kids are encountering those situations where something has happened that's made them feel very uncomfortable.
One mistake online, and it's there forever.
And really, really wish that they hadn't sent a particular image.
Chief Deputy DA Kelly Judgick works in the Arapahoe County Special Victims Unit. She gets the worst of the cases.
Once it's out there on the internet, it doesn't matter if you're the most dedicated team of law enforcement, it's very, very hard, if not impossible, to reel it back in.
Which is why she's warning young teen girls about the potential dangers and easy fixes to keep them safer. First, look at your username.
But what does that communicate?
Well, a username like Brittany03 seems pretty straightforward. Think again.
Communicates that you're a female, and 03 communicates that you're a female who's in your young to mid-teens.
Simple information, like the year you were born, sends out signals to predators looking to prey on young girls.
If it's not easily ascertainable that you're a teenage girl, 14, 15, 16, there's probably going to be less interest.
Leave your birth date off your profile and look closely at the photos you're posting.
What do even the photographs that you post, what do they communicate?
So what should you do if you get a message from someone you don't know, who you have no mutual friends with? Judgick says don't respond or block the user. Tell your parents or a teacher. But don't delete the message because police may need it as evidence.
Keeping yourself safe doesn't mean not using these technologies, but it means being smart.
When it comes to what you post on sites like Facebook, Judgick says you should follow one rule. Never post anything online you wouldn't want your grandma to see. I'm Jennifer Kovaleski for Denver7.
Not only do we need to help our children keep an eye on their online safety, but teaching them how to manage their finances at a young age can be critical for later on. I recently sat down with a finance instructor from Wells Fargo who told me he learned about finances the hard way.
The very first question I ask is, how many of you have ever had a $300 burrito?
Scott Schuler always starts his lessons with one of the worst money mistakes he ever made.
Our bill was $20. I didn't have cash in my pocket. I didn't have a debit card at the time, so I wrote a check. Well, that check bounced. And by the time everything was said and done, that one burrito cost me over $300.
That embarrassing blunder is why he now takes Wells Fargo's hands-on banking program into schools. The program teaches about budgeting, savings, and credit, subjects Schuler says many kids don't learn at school or at home.
Some kids already have a really firm grasp because of their home situation, but then again, there's others that it's a relatively new concept.
He says parents can start teaching the basics at a young age. You can make a grocery list with your children and show them the costs of the different items. As they move into middle and high school, start talking about college costs, not just tuition, but living expenses. And when it comes to credit, that's a critical lesson. Scott plays a game with the students to teach them one simple rule. Don't ever sign anything without reading it first.
Every single time I run that game, I have the next class and the class after that have said, I am not signing up for your credit card because you're going to charge me $2 at the end of class.
A lesson those kids will hopefully remember years from now when they buy a car, take out a mortgage, or even decide to charge a burrito.
You know, it's so interesting. Our kids really watch what we do
Yes.
with money, but at the same time, they don't understand it. So we do have to explain to them how it works.
Scott actually said he uses his kids to help keep him accountable.
Yeah.
So you know, if you give them a rule, you should probably follow it as well. That's one way to model the good behavior as well. But yeah, I mean, teaching can start really young. As Lisa was saying with her kids, she does some things even when they're just 8 years old.
My daughter, she decided that she didn't want to be in ballet anymore. And I told her, well, we paid for the month. And she said, well, I don't want to do it. And I said, I'll tell you what, then you can pay for your class that we already paid for this month. And she did. And she learned something from it.
I was going to say, Lisa, they don't teach this stuff in school anymore. Like when we were growing up, it's not a class in school. It's up to us as parents. And so that was a great example of one way to do it and do it early.
Yeah, Colorado is one of the states, only about 17 states require financial education in school. Colorado does not. So parents and programs like this are very helpful.
It's up to us.
Yeah. All right. Well, when we come back, my teen daughters are getting their first driving lesson, but it's not in a car. They get behind the wheel of a driving simulator to experience firsthand the dangers of distracted driving, and the outcome is not pretty.
I can't do this. I'm gonna run into that other car. What do I do?
Do you remember getting your driver's license? Let me tell you, a lot has changed since we were 16, a reality I'm facing as my twin daughters approach this milestone. The Colorado State Patrol has a new way to empower and educate teen drivers without the risks of being out on the road. And as you'll see, there are big lessons for the rest of us, too.
I get to see a mom watch their child drive for the first time.
Sergeant Rob Madden has a new toy.
Have you ever driven a car before?
No.
And he brought it over for my soon-to-be driving teens to try.
I'm 15.
It's a driving simulator complete with a monitor that looks like a windshield and dashboard, a steering wheel, and gas and brake pedals.
We have practice, we have impaired, and distracted.
Those three settings give you three different experiences.
Big left turn.
I'm trying.
There you go. You're gonna hit.
Oh, Stella! I'm sorry, Mom.
And there are real-time consequences if you make a mistake.
Yikes. Sorry.
Or if you crash.
Cell phones in a car, a passenger in the car, those can be very dangerous things. And this one program, this one computer, allows us to show somebody what it is like and the dangers that can happen.
Sergeant Madden says the simulator is a conversation starter.
When we take this into a school during the lunch hour, kids are coming up to us. What is this? What are you guys doing?
And the teachable moments
Start the turn a little bit earlier.
Are built into the program.
In this lane?
Minor crash, I'd say that stepped it up a notch.
Stop with the sighing, please?
My girls were good sports.
I'm a little more nervous to actually drive.
Considering they've never been behind the wheel of a car before.
I can't do this. this. I'm gonna run into that other car. What do I do?
Even my 12-year-old gave it a go.
This is the same thing?
Yep.
No way.
And the experience of driving impaired, as in drunk or high,
Oh my God.
leaves a lasting impression.
It looks like a wall or something.
Are you okay? I can't believe my car.
Let's.
I didn't even see the arrow.
Sergeant Madden becomes part of the lesson on distracted driving.
This is your phone. Please take it.
He says it's one of the biggest risks to teens.
Do you think I texted with your mom on the way over here?
But one teachable moment didn't happen with the simulator.
That is your mother's cell phone number. Do you think she was texting while she was in a car?
Yeah.
I had voice texted Sergeant Madden on the way to meet him for our shoot.
If you're driving a car, how do you text?
You don't.
Why don't you?
Because that is not safe.
It was a humbling experience for my family.
Now I know I have a lot to learn.
Lucky for us, it's a lesson we all knew we'd survive.
I love you.
Ooh, it was a little stressful.
When did your girls get that old? Oh my goodness.
Do you like how they busted me though? I mean, it's true. I did voice text in the car. They called me out, but what a lesson. I mean, they're still talking about it, and it slowed them down in terms of when they want to drive, what they want to learn before they drive, and that impairment where it shows you how everything changes, even your reaction time when you have been drinking or doing drugs. That is so valuable because our kids can have the experience without being on the road.
Well, and kids don't believe it. So by having that hands-on, it's huge for kids.
I love when they gave her the phone and she said, you know, and realized, why do we do this?
Yeah, how would we?
You're not worrying about your own kids. You're worrying about your kids getting in the car with other kids. That's where the problem comes in there, too. So
and we're fortunate that the laws are restrictive in Colorado in that way so that they can have immediate family but not friends for the first 6 months and on and on and on. So it kind of eases them in. But the distractions of just talking to someone, even that, they're getting into crashes just by having that voice in the computer say, hey, are you okay? Hey, I thought you were going to drop me off, as a friend would do. So it was a great learning experience.
Interesting.
We learned a lot, I think, today.
I think so. Did.
Yeah. Oh, thanks so much for joining us.
We've definitely learned growing up is easier when you don't have to do it alone.
We hope you also learned a little something along the way to help yourself or someone you love.
Yeah, keep watching Denver7 for more ideas to help you reach your peak.